Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today's topic comes from the subreddit WomenInNews, posted by user charming-news-966, posted about 3 days ago. This post has a not safe for work tag in hot pink, as well as the recommendation in the number 18 that only viewers 18 or older view this post. Please keep that in mind, and also I do want to give a warning. The first image, because this is a Reddit post that has text and accompanying images, the first image is graphic. Please only listen if you are sensitive to these graphic images. As I said before, this is a post that has both text and photos. The post is titled, "Two Young Girl Killed in Turkey." The body of the post reads as follows. Today, Turkey woke up to a sad news. In Fatih, Semih Salik, parentheses 19, and parentheses, who has learned to be a butcher, cut off the head of ikbaluzuner, parentheses 19, and parentheses, who has learned to be his ex-girlfriend, and threw him down from the walls of Edirne. It was revealed that Salik killed aysenurhalil, parentheses 19, and parentheses, who was learned to be his girlfriend. He draw his plan. He planned how he will cut the pieces. 4 women died in 2 weeks. He drew with charcoal what he would do with the pieces he cut. The reason I am telling you these is that women are trying to raise their voice in a tag called hashtag ikbaluzuner, hashtag aysenurhalil on social media. I want other feminists around the world to support us on social media. Now, although there wasn't a link in the original Reddit post, I did find this on haberler.com, titled, "The father of the 19-year-old murderer, Ikbaluzuner's mother, called my wife and said, quote, 'Your son has brainwashed my daughter. They are going to commit suicide,' end quote." Below that are 2 images. The one on the left is of a young girl, and on the right we see an image of what appears to be a young boy. Both look like they are in their teenage years, around the 16 to 19 year timeline. This was originally posted on July 10th, 2024 at 9 a.m. In bold, it reads, "The statement of the father of 19-year-old Semih Salik, who murdered 2 young girls in Istanbul and then committed suicide, has emerged. The father, AC, said, quote, 'On March 1st, 2022, around noon, Semih's school friend Ikbaluzuner's mother called my wife and said, quote, "Your son has brainwashed my daughter. They are going to commit suicide together," end quote. Later that same evening, we learned that Semih had attempted suicide by stabbing himself in the left chest area, end quote. End bold. On Friday at around 1600 in the Dervis Ali neighborhood of Fatih, Istanbul, butcher Semih Salik, parentheses 19, and parentheses, murdered Ikbaluzuner, parentheses 19, and parentheses, and aysenurhalil, parentheses 19, and parentheses. Semih Salik, who climbed onto the Edirne walls, beheaded Ikbaluzuner, whom he had killed, and threw her head down. Then the suspect, who tied a rope around his neck, jumped off the walls and ended his life. Section, in bold, "The father of the monster statement has emerged," end bold. As the images and the incident shook Turkey, the statement of the 19-year-old monster Sami Salik's father at the police station has come to light. In the father's statement, AC said, quote, "I have one son and one daughter. We live at my father-in-law's house. Before the pandemic, while he was in the 3rd year of high school, a teacher called us and said, quote, he should stay away from that friend," end quote. Section. Bold. Quote, "When I entered the room, he was nervously turning off his computer," end quote. End bold. At that time, Sami was spending all his time at home with the computer I had bought for him. Whenever I, his mother, or his sister entered his room, he would immediately nervously turn off his computer. Since the computer was password protected, we couldn't check what he was doing or who he was talking to. Later, he told us that he wouldn't study. When I asked him why he thought that way, he said, quote, "What will it matter if I read and become a big man, or if I become a scientist," end quote. He was said to have completed high school by studying from outside, end quote. It was learned. Section. In bold, quote, "He attempted suicide by stabbing himself," end quote. End bold. In the news of Sabah newspaper, AC continued, quote, "On March 1st, 2022, around noon, Sami's school friend ikbaluzuner's mother called my wife and said, quote, 'Your son has brainwashed my daughter. They will commit suicide together,' end quote. That same evening, we learned that Sami had attempted suicide by stabbing himself in the left chest area, end quote, he stated. Going back to the Reddit post, we see the first of 2 images, and of the 2 images, it is most disturbing. We see the torso and legs together in the middle with the head on top. And at the top of the torso, we see 2 arms. Allegedly, this charcoal drawing is what the killer drew as he wanted to arrange the victim in a posture like this. Perhaps he arranged both victims like this. Moving on to the second image. We see on the left the photo of a young woman, and on the right another photo of a different young woman. They're not labeled. I believe they are both the girlfriend and the ex-girlfriend who were murdered. Now, what is not clear is in the amount of time when the son attempted to allegedly stab himself as part of a suicide pact. Did he also try to stab his ex-girlfriend as well? Was there a police incident filed? Was there any type of counseling that the parents tried to make their son go through? Or did they brush it under the rug and hope it would all go away? It doesn't surprise me that this young man reoffended. What saddens me is that both his ex-girlfriend and his current girlfriend were victims of his madness. If he were to have just committed suicide, that would have been just one body and a tragic story. The fact that he chose to drag 2 other people whose lives were just starting into his madness means that we now have 3 bodies and at least 2 murders and a suicide. Just because you want to exit the world doesn't mean you have the right to drag other people there with you. Now, I'm going to review a couple comments before I end the video. In response to one user commenting asking, has he been arrested? OP responded with, he took his own life. He jumped off the historic Edirnekapi ramparts with girl body parts. User Trixie Ferganza responded to OP saying, sounds totally insane person. RIP to the poor women who became victims of this crazy person. OP responds with, "So many women were harassed and killed in 2 weeks in Turkey that I was not even surprised. Currently, Turkey is fighting for women's rights. That's why I also wanted to deliver it to people outside of Turkey. Women try to raise their voice with hashtag ikbaluzuner hashtag." Speaking of, both hashtags will be featured in this video, in the description. Scrolling down through the comments, many of them sympathetic. Now, I do find this interesting. User Iron Vandal commented separately, "I'm sorry, this is awful. Why does the drawing remind me of an IUD contraceptive? Was there some kind of political motive about women's rights?" OP responded with, "Killer's father said he was addicted to drugs and didn't give more detail." That's interesting because I didn't see that in the article that I referenced for this Reddit post. It wouldn't surprise me if the deceased/murderer was addicted to drugs and wasn't just hiding something on his computer. But depending on how they do the investigation in Turkey, there's probably going to be a lot of things that are going to be alleged, and that we'll never know. User Krieg Death Rider commented separately, "Did he actually go through with his plan shown on the sketch? If so, that's even worse. RIP to those poor souls." User Unknown-Access-777 responded with, "He did. Apparently there's a photo of it, but I haven't come across it." Side note, neither have I. User Cookie commented separately saying, "This is fucking disgusting. There's always a choice between feeling hurt and doing such an act. He could have sought help from professionals, friends, parents, online, rehab, school. Instead, he chose this." Side note, I agree with Cookie here. I do agree that the lines get very blurry when mental illness comes into play. And people who are mentally ill can't always ask for help. So then it's incumbent on the people around them to ask help on their behalf. And I wonder if the parents actually tried to help their son. Or if maybe they just saw him as going through a phase and he would grow out of it. Finally, I'm ending on this comment, posted by user BlitzButMerk, who wrote, "The freak responsible for this was diagnosed mentally insane for God knows how many times, but he was allowed to roam around freely. About a year ago, he sent a video to one of the girls about how much he wanted to kill them, and nothing was prevented. Not a single police officer stopped the freak and the girls from going on top of that building. The mother of one of the victims said, quote, 'I called her several times. First, someone else said, quote, "Your daughter is safe with me," end quote. The second time I called her, somebody else said, quote, "I found this phone fallen onto the ground. I can give it to you," end quote. And when I went to pick up my daughter's phone from the person who got it, I saw a crowd of people there, and then I saw my daughter's head on the ground." End overall quote. "I am traumatized. The pain I feel is unbearable, and the fact that my pain cannot be compared to the parents of those girls. This isn't the only murder, people. Over 230 women had been killed in the first 6 months of 2024 in Turkey. Note Turkey is in all caps. Two person who pinned a girl on the ground and assaulted her until they were stopped by a group of men have been released shortly after they were arrested." In all caps, the last sentence reads, "As a Turkish man, I am ashamed of myself too." End caps. This is the last comment I'm highlighting before I end the video. Mental illness is an issue, and how it is addressed matters not just for those people who are mentally ill, but for the people around them, lest they become victims of the mentally ill person. To the parents of the murdered girls, I am so sorry for your loss. I am making this video as a memorial to them. They did not deserve to be brutalized in such a way. And the fact that whatever system is in place in Turkey failed to prevent this, and the parents of the young man allegedly did nothing to help their son, that is disgusting. And I wish your daughters that a peaceful rest. And as for the murderer himself, I hope that he burns. Thank you for listening to another video. If you have any comments you'd like to add, please do so in the comments section below. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.